Welcome to week 14. Yay! Virtual 14. We're gonna go ahead and jump right in and get started so that we can use our time wisely. Okay. So today we have some review information from last week. Last week was a lot of information, but today it's not quite as much stuff and it's not as new. So we're gonna review SVT-IODO sentences. So girls, what are the parts of SVT-IODO?
Subject, verb, transitive, indirect object, direct object.
Okay, good job. So we have an example of one of these sentences under here. Can y'all come up with one off the top of your head?
I know.
Oh, you already know it. You already saw it. Okay. Okay, so what's our sample sentence?
Rosemary made herself a snack. Rosemary's a snack?
Okay, Rosemary made herself a snack. And what's the purpose of this sentence?
SVT-IODO?
What's the purpose, not pattern?
Declarative.
Very good, it's declarative. What if we wanted to change it to an imperative purpose? What is the subject of our imperative purpose sentences? Lily, do you remember? Think about it. An imperative is a command, so what's the subject?
It's me.
Hang on. Remember, we put it in parentheses. Okay, what is it, Annalyn?
Make yourself a snack.
Okay, but what is the subject of the sentence? Of an imperative?
Implied you.
Implied you. So all of our imperative sentences have an implied you. So we're gonna look at these and so you already told me, how would you make this into implied, imperative?
Make yourself a snack.
Make yourself a snack. Very good. Make yourself a snack. All right, so I'm gonna give you another example, but it's not going to be simple. So this is where the new information comes in. We've done imperative sentences before, and we've done structures other than simple, but now we're gonna combine those and do imperative and not simple. So Lily, come over here and read this sentence, please.
Make yourself a snack.
Okay. Read this one that's underneath here. Can you come join us on the camera? People want to see your pretty face. All right.
Give your son your old car when you buy yourself a new one.
Okay, you don't want to be on camera? You don't have to. Okay, as long as you pay attention. All right, so do we see an independent clause in here? Do we see an independent clause?
Yes.
All right, what is it? Before you underline it, tell me what it is.
When you buy yourself a new one.
Okay, I'm looking for the independent clause though.
Oh, give yourself a son. Give your son your old car.
Give your son your old car. Good job. Lily, you can come stand over here if you want to. All right, so is there a second independent clause or a subordinate clause?
There is an independent clause.
Is it independent? What's the next part?
You buy yourself a new one.
When you buy yourself a new one. Is that a complete sentence? Can it stand on its own? When you buy yourself a new one. No, so that is a what kind of clause?
Independent.
So, do you put brackets around it?
Not independent.
Subordinate?
Yes, good.
Yes.
Subordinate.
Underline.
Or dependent. You can say either way. You can put brackets. You
Yeah,
can put
underline
brackets.
it because.
She can put brackets.
Okay.
Whenever we do parsing at home, we tend to put independent clauses. We underline independent clauses and put brackets around subordinates just to help it stick out a little bit more. So,
That's our wash
okay,
machine.
can you guys remember the definition of an independent clause?
An independent clause can stand on its own. It has both a subject and a verb.
Very good. It has a subject and a verb and can stand on its own. What about a subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause?
A subordinate clause cannot stand on its own, and it has either a subject or a verb.
No, it has both.
And it has both a subject and a verb.
Right, yeah. So a subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause, contains both a subject and a verb and may be used as a single part of speech, right? Okay, so we have our two clauses. And since the sentence has both an independent and a subordinate clause, what is the structure of the sentence?
It is
What's the structure?
complex.
Good, complex. All right, so we have a complex sentence here. Lily, please stop. That's going to be too distracting. All right, what is the purpose of this sentence? Is it declarative, imperative, interrogative, or exclamatory?
Imperative.
It is imperative.
You
So-
give your son your old car when you buy your son.
Right. Okay, so our subjects are, what is our subject of the independent clause? You just said it.
You.
You. Can you write that over there? You. Lily, what is the subject of our subordinate clause? Or I could also ask it by, I can also find that information by saying who or what is this part about? When you buy yourself a new one. When you buy yourself a new one.
When you buy
Who or what is this clause about?
you.
Yes, good. So underline, or put an S above it. So that is your subject what?
Yeah. Subject. No. Pronoun.
Good. Annalyn, can you label that subject pronoun also? Okay. So come over here, Lily, so that people can see what we're doing. Okay, what are the verbs in our sentence? You what? What's being said about you?
You.
Buy.
Hang on the first one. You, what's being said about you? You?
Give.
Good. Give. So that's your
Verb.
verb. So wait, Lily, you're gonna do yours. So Lily, what's being said about you in this one? You?
Buy.
Good, so that's your verb. All right, now we need to see if there is a direct object. You give what? Annalyn?
You give car.
Good. Does car rename or describe you?
Obviously not. You're not a car.
No.
D-O.
Label for transitive.
Good.
Don't mark on me, Lily.
All right. Lily, do you have a direct object in yours? You buy what?
New. One.
One, yeah, news described one. So you buy one, which is a direct
Not by
object.
yourself.
Right. So put DO there. So if we have a DO, what type of verbs do we have?
Label for
Good
Change
job.
that dip.
All right. You give car to whom or for whom?
Son.
Good. So that is your,
Indirect object.
right, because it answers the question to whom or for whom. All right, Lily, you buy one to whom or for whom?
yourself.
Right. You buy it for yourself. So that also is an indirect object. Good job. Okay, what is our conjunction here? Do we have a conjunction? It's complex.
New.
No, our conjunction. Do we have one?
When.
When is what kind of conjunction?
It is a SC.
Yes, a subordinate conjunction. So you can write that above there. And then everything else is going to be, everything else is describing, so it's going to be adjectives. So whose son, your son, which car, your car, what kind of car, an old car. Okay, good job. Which one, a new one. Okay, so once we've figured all of that out, we need to figure out, Lily, I need you to stand right here. We need to figure out what type of clause we have so that we know how to diagram it. It starts with when. So what kind of clause is that going to be? We have two options. What are our two options?
Adverbial. It's going to be
Adverbial.
adverbial.
Okay, good. What are our two options of clauses?
Adjective and adverbial.
Okay, adjectival, which describes something and usually starts with who, which, and adverbial, which usually modifies a verb and begins with one of our www.asias. So what verb are we modifying when you buy yourself a new one?
Car.
Car's not a verb.
No.
Give. Yes. Give. When do you give? When you buy yourself a new one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we know that we've parsed all the words. We know we have an adverbial subordinate clause. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to attempt to diagram this with your parents and then come back on the video and see if you have the same answers that we have. Okay, let me zoom in real fast so you can get the words and then you can pause on this and try to diagram it.
Can I diagram this one, Mom?
Okay, this was our results. Annalyn gave us a beautifully color-coded sentence diagram. So a couple things I want to point out. Remember that the implied you goes in parentheses, and you want to maintain your capitalization. The independent clause, the one that you underline, is the first one that you're gonna write. And the words that are a part of our structure are what go on the main line. So we have our S, V, T, I, O, D, O. This happens to have the same structure for the subordinate clause. So we have also S, V, T, I, O, D, O. It is adverbial, so we connect the two sentences with our subordinate clause on the dotted line, connecting our two verbs. Let's see, what else did I want to point out? I think that's it. What, Annalyn?
Nothing.
Okay. So if you didn't get these correct, pause and see if you can figure out where you went. And if you have any more questions, we'll talk about it on our Zoom call this afternoon.
Wait, this is me? Oh, it's
Okay, so we've covered our new sentence structure and purpose together, our SVTIODO imperative. And those are the types of sentences we're going to diagram at home this week. The other new part of the EEL section is verb voice. So we're going to talk about verb voice today. This is really something more just to kind of get introduced to if you're a first tour, and if you're a third tour, it should be a little more familiar with you. So what I want to go ahead and point out is that our charts that we want to look at this week are BB and CC, and it's verb anatomy to love. Chart BB is the active voice, and chart CC is the passive voice, and it has all the different ways to create the verb to love in those different voices. And I might try to include a bonus video of one of my children trying to read this chart super fast, just for fun for you guys. Y'all can read it too and see if you can beat them. I'm gonna try to get Annalyn to do that. I might have to pay her to do it though.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay me.
Okay, so come on back over here, Lily. Let's point out, Annalyn, will you read the definition of verb voice?
The manner in which a verb functions relative to the subject of the sentence.
Okay, good. So we're looking at how a verb functions whenever it relates to the subject. Lily. Well, first, before Lily reads that, there are two types of voice. There's an active voice and a passive voice. Lily, can you read the definition of active voice?
the verb voice used when a verb expresses an action performed by the subject.
Good. So notice the big word I have blocked off here is performed. Now, these two definitions between active and passive, that's really the only word that changes in the definition. Is either performed, or in a minute we'll see what a passive voice does. But the verb is being performed by the subject, performed by the subject. They're acting, the subject's acting on the verb. Annalyn, can you read passive voice, please?
The verb voice used when a verb expresses an action received by the subject.
Good. So now the verb is being received by the subject. It's not, the subject isn't doing the thing. So we'll introduce you guys to Sammy and Cinnamon, their little loves. All right, can y'all go put them up now?
Yeah.
Okay, they're gonna put them up. And this is a lot of verbiage, but I basically just want to kind of get that information in your heads. And we're gonna discuss this, but all of the sentences that we're diagramming in the Essentials curriculum are gonna be active voice. So passive voice is actually diagrammed a little differently. So we're gonna talk about the voices because it's really important information to know whenever you start studying other languages, but we're diagramming all active voices. Okay, so let me turn the page. Loud and crinkly, sorry guys. Okay, so I have some sentences here and I'm going to adjust this a bit so you can see better. There we go. Now, I have some sentences here and I'm going to point to each sentence and I want you to tell me who's doing the action. All right, Annalyn and Lily. No, come back, Lily. Oh, she's gonna wash her hands. Good idea. All right. Okay, we're gonna have to pause. All right, clean hands, and here we go. I'm gonna point to the sentence. I want you to read it, and then the other person's gonna say who is doing the action. So first, Lily, will you read this one?
I made dinner.
Okay, Annalyn, who is doing the action?
I.
Okay, Annalyn, read this one.
The boy broke his toy.
Lily, who is doing the action?
Boy.
Good. Lily, read.
She loves her doll.
She.
She is doing the action. Annalyn, read.
Dad painted the wall.
Dad.
Good. Last one. Lily, read it.
Mom made a scarf.
Mom's doing the action.
Good. Okay. So I, boy, she, dad, mom. What part of the sentence is that? What are those nouns or pronouns acting as?
They're acting as an active verb. Okay.
No. They're acting as
They're
the...
past tense.
They're the subject. Oh, they're the subject of the verb. Of the sentence. So all of them are performing the action. They're the subject performing. So we know that that is what? Active or passive?
Active.
Good, active. All right. So when a verb has a passive voice, it means rather than the subject doing the action, it's actually receiving the action. So let me tell you guys how you would change these sentences. There are 3 steps to changing a sentence from the active voice to the passive voice. And once you understand how they sound, you'll be able to do it without thinking about the steps. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to actually add a form of the helping verb to be in front of your verb. So, Lily, what is the helping verb to be? Can you tell me the parts of to be?
To be, am, are, is, was, were, be, being, been.
Good. So you're going to add before the verb in the sentence either am, are, is, was, were, be, being, or been. Okay, that's the first thing you're going to do. The second thing is the verb becomes a past participle. So now you're going to, if it's not already in the past tense, you're going to make it into the past tense. And the third thing you do is the direct object is going to become the subject. Okay? That's a lot of things to say. It's on page 174 of our guide if you want to review that with your student. But we're going to do an example so that it makes sense to you. We're going to start with Mom made a scarf. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take these steps a little backwards. And we're going to make the direct object our subject first. Okay? So, Mom made a scarf. Let's switch the direct object and the subject. What's our direct object?
Scarf.
Okay, so a scarf made Mom. A scarf made Mom. Does that make sense?
No.
No,
Sort of.
not quite right. What do we need to add? What was the thing I said we needed to add? Lily, you listed them.
Am, are, is, wait.
Yeah. One of the form of to be helping verb. So am, are, is, was, were, be, being, been. A scarf, what should we say? Am, are, is,
Was made.
Was made. So we're going to add was here. A scarf was made. And then to make it make a lot more sense, we're going to add a preposition typically. So what would this preposition be? A scarf was made
By Mom.
by Mom. So our new sentence from the active voice, Mom made a scarf, gets switched to a scarf was made by Mom. Let me make sure this is focused. Okay. Do you hear how Mom made a scarf? The subject is the one doing the action. It's performing the action. A scarf was made by Mom. The scarf is receiving the action. The scarf's not making anything, but it was made. Okay, with that in mind, let's see if the girls can switch these sentences to the passive voice. We're gonna let Annalyn go first, but I'm gonna ask that you two both pause for like 2 seconds before you answer while you think, so that you guys at home can also try to answer out loud what you think the passive voice will be.
Really
So
fast.
from active voice, change it to passive voice, Annalyn. I made dinner. Okay?
Dinner was made by me.
Good. Dinner was made by me. Very good. So we have our direct object going as the subject. Okay? So if you get confused on this, start with putting your direct object first. Lily, can you do the boy broke his toy? Start with our direct object, which is toy. His toy. And then we're going to add a am, are, is, was, were, being, been. So his toy was broke, or we have to make it to past tense. So his toy was Broken by the boy. Very good. So we put the direct object first, add a helping verb, and the helping verb to be, change it to past participle, and then add the last little bit to make it make sense. All right, Annalyn. She loves her doll. Okay.
Her doll is what she loves.
Okay, her doll is what she loves. Well, we haven't added the helping verb to be. So it's not quite active.
Her doll. Her doll.
Let's look at the first one. I made dinner. Dinner was made by me. The boy broke his toy. The toy was broken by the boy. She loves her doll.
The doll was loved by her.
Good. The doll was loved by her. The way you said it at first was still active voice. It just took a part of the sentence and put it in the front. So the doll was loved by her. Very good. All right, Lily, your turn. Dad painted the wall. Switch to passive voice.
The wall was painted by Dad.
Excellent. The wall was painted by Dad. Okay? And then the last one, Mom made a scarf. A scarf was made by Mom. Very good.
Bad handwriting, I tell you.
Okay. So, I have questions for you girls. Annalyn, come stand right here so you can be seen. All right, 2 questions. If the subject is doing the action, is it passive or active?
Active.
Very good. If the subject is performing the action, it's active. If the subject is receiving the action, is it active or passive?
It is passive.
Very good. Okay. So, we have 2 sentences that are imperative complex that we're going to diagram next, but that's going to be on a bonus video. So if you want extra help with diagramming, or you just want to spend a few extra minutes working on that together, we're going to have that on a bonus video. But I want you to keep in mind that our charts are CC and BB.
BB.
And so kind of take a few minutes to review those. All right. We also are kind of keeping an idea of some other charts we've had in the past, anything that might pertain. Check the guide for other charts or the bean counter. It'll have suggested review charts there. All right. So see you on the next videos.
See ya!